Thank you. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to this evening's council meeting. If you haven't already, please silence your cell phones. City of Anamosa City Council agenda, regular session, Monday, July 27th, 2026, 6 p.m., Anamosa Library and Learning Center. 1.0 roll call.
Here.
Hey Smith.
Here.
Shada.
Here.
Weimer.
Here.
Dane Smith.
Here.
Bert.
Here.
All 6 council members are present in chamber. 2.0 Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic which it stands one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Proceedings for tonight's meeting. I will, with each agenda item, I will ask for public comment. At that time, you're asked to come to the podium, state your name, address of residence, and address the council. Your business is with the council. It is not with the public. So don't attempt to pull the public, engage the public. Your discussion is with the council. You will be permitted no more than 5 minutes. You will also only be permitted to address the council on each item one time. This is a meeting for council to conduct business. This is not a platform for debate. It is strictly for the council to conduct the city business. 3.0 consent agenda review and approve. There are 2 items listed. I'll read both off, which council can make a motion that includes consent, which will bring both up for discussion and a single vote, or council can make a motion on any of the items. Item A, minutes from the July 13th, 2026 regular session. Item B, current bills.
Second.
Motion by Kay, second by Brian. Council discussion. Public comment. Haley, would you conduct a roll call, please?
Hey Smith. Yes. Shada.
Yes.
Weimer.
Yes.
Dan Smith.
Yes.
Bert.
Yes.
Trump.
Yes.
Consent motion to approve carries. 4.0 presentations. 4.1 project status update HR Green.
I apologize in advance. One of our staff had to go home sick this evening, so I don't believe that we have HR Green online, but I cannot tell. But we've done this in the past. The project status update is provided in your packets from Melissa at HR Green. If you have any questions on this for HR Green and Melissa, I can certainly go back and relay those. I won't go through each of these line by line, but if you want me to expound on any, I can try to do that as well.
Jeremiah, item 1 on the update presented. The permanent easement acquisition progressing. What is there voting in this that's holding it up? Or
Not specifically. We needed to have our attorneys draft those up for us, so that just took a little bit of time. They're slightly different than prior easement agreements. And as a result of some of the last public feedback, Melissa and I did have a meeting on Friday. The DOT final plans can be tweaked a little bit, and I think we may be able to do that to the current proposition is to possibly bring the trail portion closer to the public roadway, so we don't have to go back to required DOT footage, which will help with some of that easement concerns of some of the folks that talked to us that day. That is not approved yet, but that's some things we're discussing. So that will affect the easement agreements as well. So we had to kind of put the hold on that.
Jeremiah, I am online.
Informing me that Melissa Clow is available. Can you cue her?
Can you hear me? Can you guys hear me now?
Hello, Melissa, can you hear us?
I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. I guess Jeremiah had commented that he would let you guys ask if there are any questions about any of the items on here. Do you want me to read through them like I usually do, or just answer questions about specific projects?
Well, it seems to be pretty much status as it has been. I think we can just allow council to inquire with you on the items unless there is new news from the previous.
I have a couple things.
Go ahead.
Go ahead, Melissa.
Yeah, I was just saying to go ahead and
Okay. The sidewalk program. I'm new
Yeah.
to this. Tell me what that is. Briefly.
So a year ago, we had Tiger Eye come into town and run kind of like we do with pavement management. They ran bikes and GoPros and collected data on all the sidewalks in town. It didn't exactly turn out how we wanted, but we've worked with Tiger Eye. We've worked internally. And at this point, we are ready to pull together different exhibits and locations where repair replacement of sidewalk is necessary. So part of this is also having council revisit the ordinance, sidewalk ordinance, and discuss how these repairs will be handled. So at this time, we are pulling together exhibits and estimates for what it would cost for each region. We have the city split up into 6 different regions, I believe, with the idea that one region a year would be taken care of. So these estimates would give a budget for how much would be needed each year to repair sidewalks. And we'd go from there to discuss how to proceed forward with city council. This was kind of started because of a Iowa Supreme Court case that decided that the city would also be party to any lawsuits if there are sidewalk, if someone trips, injures themselves. They previously could only sue the property owner adjacent to that sidewalk, but at this time they can also sue the city. So that's kind of where this was headed. So it will be a summary of what options are out there for the city to move forward and begin these repairs that are needed.
Okay, thank you. My other question is the sanitary sewer rehab at Elm and Hickory. What is holding that up exactly?
I would have to talk to Haley, but because that is with our sewer group. But I do know there were additional change orders with that, additional work that was not anticipated as far as access to the sewer, and they had trouble getting the equipment into it to do the sewer lining that was contracted. So I'm fairly certain that delay was due to that change order and just being able to get that approved and get the work done, the additional work done. So I will confirm with her that this date is set. And if there's anything that I'm not telling you, I will send an email to Jeremiah and he can provide that update to you.
Okay, thank you.
The other questions for Melissa? Thanks for that update, Melissa. Appreciate
You're
you tuning in this evening. 5.0 public hearings. 5.1 public hearing to consider approval and adoption of the City of Anamosa Comprehensive Plan 2026-2036. Item A, Mayor opens public hearing. Public hearing is open. Proceedings for discussion.
Trial Council of Governments. And they're working on sitting on the update of the comprehensive plan. So I just had a short presentation together to kind of go over at a level of the plan. It's like a 200-page document, so they're a little bit difficult to cover in a comprehensive manner succinctly. So before you go, the presentation is okay if I run over the 5-minute limit for the. Okay. All right. All right, and I'm just joining the web meeting in order to get some slides presented on the. Should be connecting. Apologize. Was running on my. And I believe I should be one change momentarily, and then we'll get the my slides up. There we go. All right. So for a few minutes to present on the comprehensive plan. Let's see here. Get my timer going. All right. Since it's a document, been with the community for a long time. Once it's adopted, I wanted to take a few minutes in a public hearing to provide a little bit of an overview. And so we've got some new members on the council who have started since this project began around a year ago, so a little bit longer. Sure.
Public, the screen behind you on the wall is viewing slides that Tom will be presenting to council.
Yeah. And I'll also that a lot of the images Presentation I'm giving, so you have to come next the whole time. I should be available. This probably should be available in the recording of the meeting once that's posted. So a comprehensive plan provides is a document that provides a vision for the future. Um, it's going to provide a description of conditions of the folks. The public input process that was followed as part of the planning process, which is in the goal that the goals and objectives that are also contained in the plan. So the goals are statements of so it can be followed to those goals. So we are working with it's that's part of the plan. So this is what the city could be working on in the next 10 years. For example, there's objectives, the organization outside of the city, ship of cities, as a move in the direction. For grant applications, different types of projects. So I contributed to changing leadership. So series over the last year. So this will be a document that really shows kind of based on what we received through that process, kind of what was priorities for the community. It's required. Okay. Okay. All right. Let me know if we need to do anything else. The comprehensive plan is required for any community in Iowa that has zoning. So, and there's a considerable aspect of the plan that serves as a policy basis for land use decisions for the community. I'll get into that a little bit, touch on that in a little bit. So this plan provides 22 goals and 91 objectives for the community, plus a future land use map, which I'll bring up in a moment. And that's what serves as kind of the illustration of some of the land use policy recommendations. I will say that the plan should be considered more of a menu of options rather than a step-by-step guide for the community to follow over 10 years. Things can change dramatically and quickly. That alters kind of the context for what makes sense for a community to pursue at any given time. For example, 10 years ago, COVID pandemic was not on anybody's radar, and that kind of had a big influence over what happened around that time and immediately after. Again, just wanted to kind of reiterate how important the plan is for the land use decision making for the community. This is the future land use map. It should be used. It should be referred to by the Planning and Zoning Commission, potentially the Board of Adjustment, and City Council whenever there's a land use action that comes before the council, such as like a rezoning request and like subdivision review. But it lays out a general vision for the community based on the work that was done as part of the planning process. I won't spend too much time on this. One thing I want to point out is for 2 surveys that we did as part of the public engagement process. We did a workforce survey, and I estimate we reached about 5% of the workforce in Anamosa, and we did a community survey, which I estimate would be, or it reached more than 5%. We had participation of 5% of the workforce and participation of approximately 6% of the adult population of Anamosa, which is pretty standard for a lot of the communities that I've worked with. So that's it may sound a little low, but I'd say that's a decent benchmark based on what I've seen in other communities. All right, for a couple minutes, I'm going to talk about a couple of current condition items that I've just pulled from the plan to try to illustrate some things that are a little bit easier to talk about in this format. I will kind of jump around a little bit from topics. These are kind of all covered in specific content chapters in the plan. So the big changes in the community, and this is not unique to Anamosa, is the growth as a percentage of the overall population of the mature adult and senior segments of the population. So you can see that that's grown pretty noticeably over the last 20 years in the graph that's shown. I will say that one thing I think is probably a little bit different for Anamosa, I'm pretty sure I've seen other communities in the area that have seen like larger declines in their child population. So that's a good thing for the community. It's something we noted in one of the goals and or objectives is to hopefully still be a community that's having as much of a population as it can support for households, family households with children. A couple other things that are kind of, I'd say, noteworthy for the community. I'm going to advance one slide really quick. This is a slide of the community kind of showing how Anamosa is within a region, both cities and metropolitan statistical areas that have experienced some pretty healthy growth from 2010 to 2020. The official census count shows that Anamosa lost the population from 2010 to 2020, but you can caveat that pretty strongly because the population in occupied housing, so basically taking out the prison population, stayed level over that period, which I think is a different story than a declining population. The other thing to note too is that there's a pretty significant population outside of the city limits, but not far from Anamosa. And just looking in the orange area in the map, and I think this population is predominantly within 2 miles of Anamosa. The population community is probably about 77.5% larger than just the population that's within the city, which could be helpful context in in case someone's considering moving or starting a business in Anamosa and want to know what the population is. That'd be a good figure to report. And I touched on this one already. I'll advance that one. Another thing that's noted in the comprehensive plan is the wealth of historic resources that Anamosa has. There's some pretty remarkable numbers. So I'll start with the Anamosa's Main Street. So on its nomination form for the National Register for Historic Places, there are 52 resources counted and 43 are counted as contributing to the district. And so if you compare that to a community like Decorah, which is the city itself is, getting close to twice the size of Anamosa, they had 86 resources counted, but actually fewer were contributing to the district than what Anamosa has. So they only had 40 buildings. And then outside of the district, Anamosa has 16 other historic resources in and around the community. So this is similar to Mount Vernon, but more than the city of Marion. So just a wealth of resources there. These graphs relate to commuting. I'm not going to get into it too much. There's a lot of commuting both into and out of the community. One of the things I wanted to point out from this one was that according to this commuting data, in 2023, there were about 400 more jobs in Anamosa than in 2013. And despite that, there were actually about 30 fewer residents who both lived and worked in Anamosa, as part of that population. So the job growth hasn't really doesn't seem to have like correlated with household growth for employees in the community. This chart also kind of touches on the current local economy. This illustrates the taxable sales per capita for the community for the last 10 years. It's all in the in 2024 dollars. So you can see here that Anamosa is the red dot. It was its per capita sales that are subject to sales tax peaked just prior to the pandemic, and it's about where it was before. But I can point out additionally to this is that Anamosa appears to be performing better than peer communities. So the report that this comes from Anamosa was grouped with cities of similar size and other characteristics. And in the box that's shown for each year, that's showing the 25th to 75th percentile for those communities. So Anamosa is performing better than 75%. And I believe that this would be negatively skewed for Anamosa because of the prison population. So if you divide it by the population occupied housing, it would be even better. So, but there are some metrics that Anamosa's local economy is performing pretty well. Talking about housing, this is also going to be a big topic for the community. I won't go through this whole table, but we noted a couple areas where there seem to be some mismatches with potentially some more housing needed for certain segments of the household based on income. That was around 50,000 to 74,000 or 75,000 household income, and 100,000 to 149,000 income, which would be homes that would be considered affordable for them at 150,000 to 200,000 and 250 to 300,000 respectively. There also appears to be first, Anamosa has approximately 30% tenant occupied housing. I think that's at a pretty good spot. That'd be pretty similar to the state of Iowa. And then we did note there appears to be a critical shortage of rental units, especially for lower income households in the community. Transportation. This is separate transportation data. The city didn't collect this. This was collected by ECOG as part of an active transportation plan a couple of years ago. This is about sidewalks, and we estimated about one mile of poor condition sidewalks out of the 18.9 miles of sidewalks in the community. And then we also kind of noted about 13.4 or 6.7 miles, kind of depending on 13.4 miles of residential frontage and probably about 7 miles of streets that don't have sidewalks in Anamosa. So that's just some of the examples of the data that's in the plan for current conditions. There's a whole lot more that's in there. I'm going to switch to some public input information, but I'm not going to go over this in really great detail because I'll talk about, I've just pulled out a few goals and objectives to provide some examples. And those are based in large part on the input that was received through the plan. So a couple of things I wanted to say about the community survey that was conducted as part of the process is that it was almost entirely residents of the community who responded. It was open to community members outside of the city, but almost everyone indicated that they were residents of Anamosa. We also had responses from some employees and business owners. There were many long-term, like 10 plus years, residents who responded to the survey, but there was also a mix. So we've got some perspective from households that haven't been in the community for as long. We also had a mix of ages who participated, but it was skewed a little bit towards older population compared to like what the actual demographics are. So I just included one example of a question that was part of the survey. That's how would you rate your quality of life in Anamosa? And I think Anamosa scored pretty well on this with average. So if you gave excellent 4 and poor 1, the average would come out to about 2.8. So almost right on the good quality of life. So there's really a number of things that I pointed out into the plan about like really fantastic things going on in the community. So, and I think they could kind of highlight, kind of show that through this question too. And then I'm going to skip through some of these public input summaries again. These were kind of all the basis for the goals and objectives that were developed as part of the community. So I would go back to the data throughout the public engagement processes. We developed the goals and objectives to kind of make sure those were in line with what we received through the engagement process. All right, so just to provide a few examples of goals and objectives, the first two are, I think, going to be some pretty important ones for the community. So for housing, there's a goal of capturing more of the regional housing and population growth. We didn't set a specific target, but we did some estimates, kind of estimating 5% population or household growth. And that would require 138 new homes. I think the communities potentially could do better than that. I think it's kind of on track to get there by 2030 based on what's happened already in the first half of this decade. So that would be 96 new homes and then 42 additional new homes that would be kind of replacement for what on average is a replacement rate for housing stock that might get beyond repair in a decade's time. And then we also included in that goal like an objective to try to keep that 30% tenant occupancy rate for the community with the need for the tenant housing shown through the data and then also through the workforce survey, which unlike the resident or community survey, that was probably 80% completed by employees in Anamosa who live outside of the city. And kind of the topics that they evaluated, the one that had the second most responses for room for substantial improvement was the availability of rental housing. So for those employees who have maybe considered moving to Anamosa and renting, they identified an opportunity there. But again, I think that 30% is probably a good spot for the community to be in. And so hopefully that rental development will go on along with new homeowner opportunities. So for economic development, again, this is probably going to be a big one for the community. Facilitate the development of commercial and industrial businesses in the community. One objective for that is to create detailed profiles of commercial and industrial areas to help businesses locate in the most appropriate area and identify gaps in available real estate. So we've kind of started that within the comprehensive planning or comprehensive plan. This map shows the different areas that I identified through I saw on visits to the community, and I kind of noted some differences in the characteristics and history of those different districts, and some different possible features are imagined in the future land use map. So for community services and facilities, we have provide desired and high impact amenities for parks and recreation facilities. And that's continued planning for pool improvements. This is a activity that's already underway, but the responses received through the survey seem to support that there's interest in seeing improvements to the pool. Survey conducted by the planning or the Parks and Recreation Department a couple years ago kind of showed that same interest as well as that being a high priority item. And then another objective is to consider installing public restrooms at the Ball Diamonds off of Elm Street. That comes from a combination of the both surveys again. So for transportation, the city is working with the engineer on that, as we heard earlier. We did include a possible criteria for prioritizing just beyond the cost, prioritizing like where repairs and improvements might take place. But this is just an example. The cities can certainly come up with other criteria that might seem more appropriate, but just from what I kind of observed from feedback from residents, kind of location to important amenities, where it might make sense to start with some sidewalk repair. All right. So those are a few examples. Again, that's just a handful. There's 22 goals and 91 objectives in the plan. I kind of recommend to the council, if you have a chance to take a look at the land use chapter. There's a lot there that'd be helpful to be a little bit familiar with, and then you can kind of refamiliarize yourself anytime land use case comes before the council, to kind of help make sure that the vision expressed in the plan is being implemented. Another tool that's going to be helpful for the city is the implementation table, which is in the appendix to the plan. It includes a very approximate estimate of time and financial investments for different objectives. This is the first plan where I've added like an estimate of the time it would take to do things. There are quite a few objectives in here that aren't necessarily high dollar investments, but would probably be a pretty significant investment of time for the community. And there's just from working with the city and talking to some other organizations, capacity is always an issue for a community this size. So that's kind of helped, is intended to kind of help with that, to match these opportunities with the current context when you're doing your more short range planning. So the table will allow for a review of progress over time, and there's a place to keep track of what's been started, completed, and keep notes on that. I recommend annual review of this, and reference of it when you're working on your strategic planning process, strategic and capital improvement planning processes. I won't go into this too much. Did do a little exercise kind of looking at the feasibility of the capital projects in the plan. And I think we have something in here that's pretty reasonable for the community. So just kind of checking to make sure we didn't have like a pie in the sky kind of plan that sounds great, but is not really achievable. I think there's a lot in the plan that's achievable. There's probably more in here than the community will may be able to do in 10 years. And again, it's about opening some opportunities for when you're evaluating like the local context of any given year and seeing what might make sense for the future. All right. And then we did make the draft of the plan available at the beginning of July, and my email address was provided for anyone who wanted to provide a comment in advance or ask any questions. I did get a couple comments. First one, P&Z recommended adoption of the plan. They recommended adding a no sidewalk line on Cemetery Road along the Ball Diamond for the final plan. That wasn't in there in that map because when we did our assessment, we were just looking at the residential frontage, but it probably makes sense to have a sidewalk in there, so I'll probably add that for the final version of the plan. The comments was just from Pat Callahan, who just asked that his name be listed as Patrick Callahan in there. So that'll be updated, and then there might be, when I'm going through the final preparation of the plan, if I spot minor grammatical or punctuation errors, I'll plan to address those, but not really change anything else. And then I did receive one comment from Matt McClellan as well, which I'll summarize. I've got the full email in case anybody wants to read that. But given that it's a hearing and it is for a discussion with the council, I won't respond to this, but I'll be around both after my presentation and then I'll wait around for if there's any comment from the public, to take any questions that the council may have. But the feedback from Mr. McClellan was that he believes the plan explains the what well, so like the goals and objectives, he believes they're worthwhile. He thought there could be a clear explanation of why they're important in the introduction to better describe a little bit more unified vision for the community, which he thinks would help future elected officials and other civic leaders. He also thought that the plan could place a greater emphasis on building community capacity, and states that many communities don't lack for ideas, but the implementation is frustrated by the lack of capacity. And those were his major points. He states that every recommendation in the plan should raise the same questions: who will lead the initiative, who will fund it, who will sustain the effort over time. Does the community have the capacity to accomplish it? And if not, will the capacity be developed? And it stated that it should be to encourage the development of collaborative leadership and institutional capacity necessary to transform these ideas into measurable results. And these comments this part's verbatim, there's a quote, these comments are offered in the spirit of strengthening what I believe is already a very good document. So I tried to summarize what he said, but again, if anyone wants to see the full comment, I can include that. But that was it for comments received. So again, at this point, I'll take questions if the council has any, and then I'll stick around too in case there's any questions you have for me after public input, if there's any additional comment.
So any questions, comments for Tom?
I do have one question. You said something about doing an annual review, I believe.
Yes.
And then with the annual review, can there be amendments to this program?
Yeah, the city city council can amend the plan at any time. Yeah, and I would recommend councils stay engaged with their comprehensive plan and amend it over time versus just not referring to it. So I probably from a planner's perspective, the recommendation I would make would probably be to make changes that kind of relate to things that have happened, like with my example of COVID before, you could put that in there and kind of like what the rationale is behind the changes. I probably would recommend like a major amendments, like a significant rewrite to the plan without doing another like public engagement process. So that's, but yeah.
So economic change occur that
Mhm.
they all in place that you need to make some amendments to the program or something of that.
Yeah. So I think when you do that, you could probably also identify kind of how those changes align with the public input that was received through the planning process. Yeah, but no, the state code says the city council can amend the plan at any time.
Any public comment on the comprehensive plan?
He's gonna stick around, right? Have his questions and stuff.
This is the public hearing, so I guess my suggestion would be if you have questions or comments on the comprehensive plan, now would be the time to bring them forward.
I did see that the Dylan.
You come to the podium, please.
Oh, sorry.
State your name.
It's Joshua Ludley. I guess my question is, when was this all conducted? Most of your surveys?
I believe that comments should probably go to the council.
Or,
And they can
I'm sorry.
ask me to.
When were the surveys conducted?
It was conducted last fall. Yeah,
Last fall, okay.
something like that. I don't remember the exact time, but it was sent out via mail and on our online.
So with recent attention that's been brought to the Dillon Military Bridge, obviously I did see that on there. I mean, is there any way? I have questions afterwards, but is there any way that I believe that's become more of a bigger thing to the community since fall of last year? And is that, I guess I don't know how that would reflect on that agenda, that agenda for that. Is that something that could be considered, or would that have to be amended like you were mentioning?
So we could certainly amend portions of it if it was required. The comprehensive plan is a broad overview of, you know, we're not trying to drill down too much on specific details.
Right.
But I mean, we knew of this being an occurrence at that time. So that was the reason it was included in there, was just because we did want to make sure to mention it.
Sure.
But specific details were, you know, like any portion of it, we didn't want to get too detailed. We have to be somewhat flexible with those broad planning.
Absolutely.
ideas.
Yeah, I just with the more current attention it's been getting, I just wanted to kind of touch on that a little bit, but I also have questions afterwards.
Josh, can I address what
Yeah.
you just said?
Absolutely, Brian.
The Dillon Military Bridge is listed on there, as you probably saw.
Mhm.
And under there's a section how important it is, and it's listed as high important.
Yeah.
Really important. So
Yeah, I haven't had a chance to
Yeah,
look
nice.
at it, so
with that, that might help you out.
absolutely. All right, thank you.
What else? Item B, mayor closes the public hearing. Public hearing's closed. 5.2, resolution 2026-43 to approve and adopt the city of Anamosa comprehensive plan 2026-2036.
Move to approve resolution 2026-43.
Second.
Motion by Rich, second by Dan. Further council discussion. Public comment on the approval and adoption. Haley, please conduct the roll vote.
Taylor,
Yes.
Weimer,
Yes.
Dan Smith.
Yes.
Kurt,
Yes.
Trump,
Yes.
Smith.
Motion to approve resolution 2026-43 adopting the city of Anamosa comprehensive plan carries. 6.0 postponed items, unfinished business. 6.1 resolution 2026-44 authorizing the city clerk to make the appropriate interfund transfer of funds and record the same in the appropriate manner.
Move to approve.
Second.
Motion by Dan, second by Rich. Council discussion. Public comment. Haley, please conduct a roll vote.
Weimer,
Yes.
Dan Smith,
Yes.
Kurt,
Yes.
Trump,
Yes.
Smith, Shada,
Yes.
Motion to approve resolution 2026 authorizing the city clerk to make appropriate interfund transfers carries. 7.0 council action item. 7.1 resolution 2026-45 designating public notice locations for governmental bodies of the city of Anamosa as required by new legislation, House File 2490.
Move to approve resolution 2026-45.
Second.
Motion by Todd, second by Rich. Council discussion. Public comment. Haley, please conduct a roll vote.
Dan Smith,
Yes.
Kurt,
Yes.
Trump,
Yes.
Smith, Shada,
Yes.
Weimer,
Yes.
Motion to approve resolution 2026-45 designating public notice locations for governmental bodies, city of Anamosa carries. 7.2, resolution 2026-46, approving the 2080 agreement between the Anamosa State Penitentiary and the city of Anamosa Police Department regarding the use of Anamosa State Prison K-9 unit.
Move to approve resolution 2026-36.
Second.
Motion by Rich, seconded by Kay. Council discussion. Public comment. Kaylee, would you please conduct a roll call?
Kurt,
Yes.
Crump,
Yes.
Dave Smith. Yes. Shada,
Yes.
Weimer,
Yes.
Dan Smith,
Yes.
Motion to approve resolution 2026-46, approving the 2080 agreement between the Anamosa State Penitentiary and the city of Anamosa carries. 7.3, discussion of possible action. Purchase agreement from North Skunk River Greenbelt Association in the amount of $1 to sell the Dillon Military Bridge and provide an additional fee of $100,000.
I'll just start off on this. The Dillon Military Bridge Preservation Purchase Agreement is included in your package. That's where the language from the agenda item comes from. The individuals in charge of this organization sent this out, I believe, to the county and the city. But either way, the county essentially responded, advising that the city, per the current 2080 agreement that exists, has to take action first on this. Council's been provided with recommendations from the city attorney as well as the city engineer and myself. I will just note my only recommendations, which I provided you in writing, were that we do have some public hearing requirements that we have to meet, so we can discuss the terms and try to hammer those out. But final approval will have to wait until that public hearing is held. It would be my recommendation to hammer out those details before we do that, clear the way, and then we can get it approved finally. However, both entities mutually agree upon. Well, 4 and 20 days is the requirements for that, so it could be relatively short. Generally speaking, we try to do 30 days out just because if we run into any snafus in the meantime with publication requirements, we have to send those to the paper a couple of weeks in advance to get them in the paper. So when you're eating up a couple of weeks already, it just 30 days starts getting close. So I would use that period of time. I mean, again, this depends on how many of the details we can hammer out. I would use that period of time to send it for review while we're waiting for that to happen. So
45 days.
30 to 45, yeah.
Okay. That's.
I don't need any action. Again, I wanted to get this in front of everybody for consideration. If there's anything that needs to be noted or details that need to be worked out. Of course, before the city attorney will provide a recommendation, he'll want the final approved version in front of him, so.
Also, do you have any questions or comments regarding the purchase agreement that was provided?
There's just a lot of things on here. I'm for doing this, but there's just some things, I worry about 15 to 20 years down the road. When everybody hears, hopefully everybody hears with us, but how how it's going to get taken care of. And, because with this agreement, the city won't own it anymore. But, I hope that is way. It sounds like this group is willing to do that. I'd like to see, asking for $100,000. It costs us that much. Tear it down, probably, maybe. We don't know. I don't have a problem with that $100,000 because I'd like to see it but I'd like to see it controlled by somebody local in a local bank and somebody local writing the checks for it. I do have a problem with it being that money up front. We're not really in the habit of giving money up front to people. There's just quite a few things. I mean, I think this can be worked out, but there's just quite a few things that it's going to take some time.
Like Ryan, I'm all for getting this done and getting it to you guys to get it to work, but I think the solution for the 100,000 is that the money goes into an escrow account, sits there, bills, they can earn some interest, whatever, but then on performance, the city can pass that money out. Not just fully upfront 100%, but it's maintain control. And once there's results of however we want to stipulate it, then the money can go out. That would be the control that I think that you're looking for.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah, so you can have it go into the escrow and stipulate when that money can come. Because
Right.
it is public fund money, we need to have some semblance of what it's being used for and how it's being used. So,
I mean, I guess I'm used to somebody presenting a bill. We pay off the bill, but we can't, I don't believe the city can donate money to a group. I don't know what the law is on that. And,
well,
if we were just give $100,000 over, that'd be a donation.
but that's why it stays in the escrow or the city can maintain control. And then it goes out. I think the city can do that based off of the usage of what it's going to be for. But like I said, I think we gotta have some semblance of control.
So if I read everything right, the first thing on the agenda with this bridge is the abutments. And if I'm right, it was like $100,000. Is that right?
A little over. Sorry.
Sorry. So I understand why they're asking for the money, and I think that part of it would be very important.
Well, except for if you're asking for 100,000 from the city and 100,000 from the county, that's 200,000. That's not the full amount. So there's got to be control.
I believe it should be controlled. That's not my point, but there's going to be some things that have to happen rather quick.
Well, it's going to happen quick. That is true, but there still needs to be some semblance of control.
I understand.
So let's say it goes through, I'm in favor of the control through. Let's say they get a crew in here to fix the abutments. Then will that immediately get paid for?
Well, that's where I think we also have to have our engineers involved to say, is fixing the abutments the solution to the stability of the bridge? If it's not the stability of the bridge, then maybe it is something else that needs to be done. But if it stabilizes that bridge and the abutments are done, and they say, okay, the bridge is fine to be worked on in place, I'm all for it.
Okay, that was basically my question. It seems to me that the top item on the list is the abutments.
Right.
Well, if they can get in there and get that fixed, and get those repaired, then the payment will go out.
Right.
You-
And there needs to be kind of a schedule of everything too. I think.
Before we can, I think the abutments are certainly
first priority, but I think before we can give any money away, it does need to be controlled, but I think that we need to be provided the appropriate information that all the permitting that needs to be done is in place before one bit of work gets done on the above.
Yeah, and I think that's in with some of Jeremiah's feels about the agreement. Is that all has to be done before the sale, before the work gets done or anything like that. I mean, that was kind of a, you know, a no say from last month.
I am all good with trying to get the bridge into the hands of people that want to maintain it, but I do think that we have to have a little bit more concrete information on the time frame, on who's doing what when, and how we are going to be billed for it, so we know exactly how that money is being. Because I don't believe that we can just donate city funds to an.
No, I understand that, but is that even with this kind of a situation? Is that even a real possibility of saying, okay, we're gonna come in, or the group is gonna come in and fix the abutments? And then they're gonna fix the top rail across, and then they're gonna fix the beds. I mean, is that possible? Or to be done that way, or?
I don't have the answer to whether it can or can't be done. I think all of us are working toward that goal of getting it into the hands of a different entity. It's just the steps that need to be taken by the group and what needs to be contained in the contract have to be a little bit more fleshed out.
And that's where I think the city attorney needs to be kind of the man in charge of working with that group to come up with this agreement. So that he's looking out for our benefits, he's looking, and then their attorney's looking out for their benefit. I know we can come to a mutual agreement on this. It's just we gotta make sure that all parties are good on what we come up with. And that's gonna require Jeremiah, city attorney, the North Skunk River attorney, and purchaser. Well, the county's gonna be involved too, you know.
So you mentioned, Rich, our engineers would have to look at the abutments if they repair them, but it doesn't necessarily have to be our engineers, does it?
A structural engineer.
But this group has their own engineers,
Well,
not necessarily the group, but
It's sort of like, if you're gonna spend $100,000, don't you have to know whether the project is completed appropriately or not?
oh, absolutely.
Well,
But I'm not saying our engineers need, I mean, a engineer.
I guess to your question, I would want to look at credentials of that engineer.
Yes.
And then maybe we can make a decision, but I would say that for right now, I would be saying our engineer.
Okay. I got you.
Just to interject briefly, our city engineer did comment on that. And I would likely have our engineers review anything that we came across from a technical standpoint. They did notate, however, that it could be that group's engineer. But that's what the agreement should specify is, you know, what they're actually, what plan or, technical process they're actually adhering to. So our attorney or our engineers can do more of a double check on what they're doing. So.
Gotcha.
I think our attorney should, or our engineer should review it, but it certainly could be their engineers that come up with those plan to proceed.
Jeremiah, you were saying, or I think Rich said something about 45 days. It's just something that we need to put on the agenda for the this first meeting in September, or should we look at the second meeting in September?
So I think we can handle it a lot of different ways. I'm just, it's not going to do us any good to keep putting it on the agenda until we have a hammered out thing that everybody's going to agree upon. And a lot of those details, just quite frankly, are going to involve more than 2 meetings a month to come up with. So I think if we can get that hammered out first, then we can, so to speak, present it to both governing bodies on a silver platter, ready to vote on or make minor tweaks as needed.
We can negotiate contracts, not necessarily in open session. I mean, we did one, the 2080 agreement, we passed tonight.
Yes, nothing requires us to go into closed session for this. It's typically considered best practice just in case there's specific sales detail that we don't want divulged until the sale happens, but nothing requires it.
And the only reason I was bringing it up is obviously we have community interest in this, and I don't want to see it slide off the radar. So I'm fine with authorizing, if it requires authorizing the city attorney to engage in more detailed negotiation, I guess, as to the terms, then that's what we need to do. I think that I would make that motion that we authorize our city attorney to engage in further negotiations as to the specific terms.
Motion by Todd, second by Rich. And you stated for the city engineer, Todd?
City attorney.
City attorney.
To negotiate with who? Well, the group that is the group that has provided us with the purchase agreement sort of as proposed. So I guess that would be the North Skunk River Greenbelt Association at this point. They're acting.
Balance it, county won't do nothing.
The city has to take the action. So
I would say we would come up with the agreement, present it to the county, they can make some recommendations that they want and go back. We're gonna have.
I think it has to start
the process.
It has to start with us.
I understand your direction there, okay? I would be in agreement that my experience is you bring the parties to the table to negotiate through. But so far to date, the county has basically put Anamosa City on notices. You're the quarterback, you run with this. Then you just present to us. I don't agree with that process, but it's the one that looks like we're gonna have to follow.
I think that it would be something that once the city kind of gets the ball rolling, I think before we would do any kind of vote on an action item, that we would consult then with the county before we do that, because I agree, we don't want to start a process and then get something we approve only to have a different entity disagree with us. But I think to start the process, we have to start it this way.
I can see us just, we come up, get our agreement in place, send it to the county, have them review it and have them say, we want this change or this addendum or whatever. Because I know they went from sellers to grantors on this whole process. So if there's a word out of place for them, something, they'll let us know before we get to the point of getting the final draft out.
Agreed. So is original 28E agreement with the county still active? And that would be the reason why they want us to take the lead on it.
At least that's their story.
Yeah.
So for parties that are here and also for the North Skunk group. You have heard this council refer to the devil is in the details. It certainly applies. This is a project. It's a vast project, and it shouldn't come with a half-vast idea. This overall project has to be managed, and it would be managed on, not on the city or the county's end. The purchase agreement was provided, and from what I have seen and been informed of, there is a lengthy list of changes that would need to occur before they could come back for finalization to the council. The purchase agreement is a starting point, but it certainly isn't an ending point. There's a lot of holes to be filled here yet. Time is an urgency, but I get you want to strike while the iron's hot yet. Get this moved along. So my suggestion is take what you have, you've been informed of so far. Put a project together, a plan together, and then resend to Jeremiah so he can get it before the council, also before the county. Just to be transparent, one thing I want to note is you've heard from multiple, basically all council members. See, they are all in favor of repurposing this bridge, not to just dismantle and destroy. So, that reference that the council, the city is not on board with this can really come to an end. And it's going to start with you guys. You're the one that can preach to the public that this council is on board with repurposing the bridge. I don't get out and around a great deal, but I have been hearing since the last council meeting that the council is not in favor of this. That is not true. At this time, I will go for public comment.
Members, or three of us are here. Doug Williams and here by the bridge. Send it to us. Straight. Superlatives that were just kind of doing. Sure. Project is pretty vague. Structure is pretty vague, giving us some hint on what you're looking for. And if you don't know, we can't really guess. So give us something concrete to respond to the concrete requests. So if we have that, we can go back to the engineers and see what the specified timeline, see when this gets done, how we can do it, how the timeline work with the city, the county. And I really feel like you guys, you did get yourselves in the crosshairs with the county. I mean, as far as what we're going to do until the city, like the first move, been told them a couple of times. And so that's in court. You know, they want to throw it back to us. That's fine. Give us the rules and give us that, you know, something to really dig into, some kind of specifics. And come up on this deal. Then the foundation is primarily going to be the to this project. So the North Skunk River, the working bridges, they've done research, but we've done all the bridges. Have they had any failures? I don't know. But I can tell you what the successes. So what they bring to the table is pretty concrete. So if you put it massaged, put into some format that makes everybody comfortable, including then we have to send them to the county and see what they say. So get something like that. And if you want to contact me, you know, I'm right in town. If you want my information, I'll give it to you. That way, if you want a point of contact, I'll do it. You can talk to me.
I think we just we have a motion for that going on right now for our attorney to give you something.
Right, right.
I understand. So,
Well, the question is though, if that was what North Skunk, are you offering to buy it directly through the dam foundation?
If you do that, then the money stays local. And we'll integrate it because they don't even touch the money. That's to handle it. That's to write the checks. Something else. So if Dirk. So he's got the checkbook.
So quick question, if you'll let me. If these guys have done all these bridges, they pretty much have a standard plan in place that they've used in the past, right?
It's like asking me if they can build a bridge in place.
They would have a guideline.
I think they have a format, yes.
Why can't you go back to them, folks, and get this format and lay out the groundwork? And then we can have we'll have some direction to go by.
Sure.
Is that fair?
I think I just start with the abutment. Most of them.
they could ask.
Give you a complete plan on that. It's a project in and of itself. The rest of it's kind of superlative, replacing the decking, replacing this and making it pretty.
And they can do that in steps, if you will. Right?
Because correct me if I'm wrong. Yes, that's, I mean, I'm sure that like with any project, there's steps. Why is the Hickory Street and Elm Street sewer project moving along, as Brian had asked?
Right.
Well, that's basically because something happened.
I think that's what we're asking is just to have a general guideline.
Sure.
Have it hammered out. We're not
Sure.
bridge experts by no means.
Either. I'm just dumb enough and brave enough to go up in front of everybody. And did I do too much? Because I'm really loud sometimes.
Always got to put
Okay.
it back away.
Thank you.
I'm
Well, I think
sweating.
they do have, I mean, it's listed underneath their purchase agreement for phase 1, 2, and 3. Here, and I don't know where I read it about what phase 1, 2, and 3 were, but I did read that.
Yes, you did.
I don't think it's in the contract, but maybe it is.
Do you need a reference to a page? Because I have mine here.
Well, I'm looking at it right here. But anyway, there are steps that they're gonna take.
Right, but if you looked at that, and I looked at it, and I thought, well, it doesn't really have a timeline. It doesn't say this will take, when we address the bridge, are we gonna lift it up? What are we, how long does that take? What's that take? And the abutment repair, I mean, I have no idea. Couldn't tell you nothing about it. But the engineer that looked at it, he had a good idea. And he knew what he was up against, the river, the DNR,
Sure.
whoever.
Those are the things that I was talking about, like, when are we gonna have our applications in or approved for doing work on the abutment?
Well, that thing that you're asking is like the horse in front of the cart. You need to give us permission to do it.
I don't think there's any question that we're looking into giving you the permission necessary. It's.
No, I can't go on that until you have it in writing. I mean, you know that. I mean, you and I can talk about it and be very happy. But until it's in writing and everyone's agreed, then we aren't really gonna, how do you make a move on that? Do you move into the house before you sign the contract that you bought it? No. So same thing here. I mean, I'm not asking you to do it. If you need us to get more detailed information about phase 1, phase 2, and phase 3, then we'll go to work and do that. And then maybe that will help.
Which is why I made the motion to allow our attorney to have the discussion. Now, if the motion needs to be changed to allow the discussion to be with the Anamosa Dam Bridge Foundation as opposed to the North Skunk, we can make that change. But going into the meeting tonight, it was looking at the proposal from the North Skunk River. So.
Well, we haven't received our paper from Paul Pate yet. But that's because of my fault. I sent him my bylaws for our nonprofit rather than the Articles of Incorporation, which was a 1-page article, and my bylaws are like 8 pages. That was like stupid. So yeah, if it pleased everybody to just have that go-between, which is what we are. We're also going to be a fundraiser. We also want to enhance the bridge. We want to put some of the pretty back in it. Not just functional, because I think once we have it functional, how long do you think that'll last? Any guesses? I mean, that's a honest, good question. Like, what are you getting for, how much bang are you getting for your buck? Okay. Johnny here was instrumental in putting a new deck on it 50 years ago. And it's kind of rotting away. He didn't do a good job, obviously. But the point I'm trying to get to is it'll outlive all of us. And that'll be simple. And I know you're all for it, but just give us those, help us, help you be better. All right. That was probably more than 5 minutes. John Birch, 105.
Someone else is jumping in here. You know who's coming on board here, Chief?
I think I'm here. Julie Bowers, 314 Simmons Street, Manistee, Michigan. I'm here to answer a lot of your questions. Everything is based on us getting ownership so that we can put in permits for the abutments. If you would prefer to do a memorandum of understanding that you could do tonight for us and the group that is forming up, that would be fine. Secondly, you are selling the bridge. It is not a donation of $100,000. It is the money that you would have put into demo. Plus or minus, we don't know that. Number 3, We have done this all over the country. You want a calendar, but I can't give you a calendar until we own the bridge. We are working hard to help the Anamosa Dam Bridge Foundation form up. We gave them bylaws so that Dirk could get that paperwork into the state. We are doing an account that is through both of us that allows us to go on and accept donations right now. We have funded our $25,000 disaster fund as of today. And our donor said, you know, if you don't use it for some other bridge, Julie. It's okay. If you can't make them understand that ownership is key, getting those permits is key. We have a licensed engineer that knows his stuff, and you all know him. And, you know, and we have Dirk and John and Joshua and Doug that formed up a corporation that will take over after us. The only other thing I want to note is that I was asked to take a look at your city council meeting from October 21st of 2021 when Tom Durgan did a video of your abutments. That video had one stone missing. They're all gone now. You ask why I am in a hurry? I've dug a bridge out of a river. It's really no fun. I don't know that your bridge would survive to be repaired like my bridge was and went to Delaware. I have tenacity. We have 16 years in this business. Yep, we've had our failures. Yes, we've had our successes. And if you guys want a success, you vote to move this thing forward without 40 days of talking to a lawyer, because there's really not much in that agreement that needs talking about. It's very simple. Our agreement with the Anamosa Bridge Foundation will also be very simple. All we're asking them to do is pay out the money quickly, because our teams deserve to be paid before a 30, 60, 90-day window. And that's it. So if you sell the bridge, you sell it for $1, you give us $100,000. We actually could discuss terms with you on that. I took those terms out of that agreement. They could go back. I'd be happy to discuss terms with you, but I took them out for a reason. So, and then Dirk edited everything, and we are all on the same page as far as the Anamosa Dam Bridge Foundation and the North Skunk River Greenbelt Association to try to save your bridge. I don't think it has another year. It's lost 5 blocks. Go back and look at that video. Talk to Tom Durgan. I've talked to everybody that I can, and I'm asking you to vote at least to allow these people to pursue the permits and the engineering that it's going to take and the fundraising. Every ounce, we estimate, you know, DNR is much quicker now. If I showed them the photos, we might get an expedited permit. I couldn't put that into a calendar. I don't know if that's true. But if we take it on, we don't have the luxury of the time that you seem to think we do. So, and the Anamosa Dam Bridge Foundation will muddle forward. We'll help them however we can. But if you can't move towards a purchase memorandum, anything so that we can move forward, then time is of the essence.
Thanks, Julie. Council, you have any questions for her? Dirk, I just wanted to make a few comments. I do believe we all can work together and make this happen. This is, in a sense, public's project. My experience is you develop the plan for the project, then you present to investors, and that's how that works. Maybe I'm way off on how you guys believe this should work. one thing I do know from life lessons is you can't sell and buy same car. So I understand where you guys are coming from and you want some directions because it's not your area of expertise. I get that. I'd be all in favor of the city attorney, the city's engineers trying to fill those holes, those questions, so that you can go get some of them answers. But again, I don't think it's going to happen overnight. So, you know, the rush, that's when things get sideways. When you try to push something through, or you cut corners. There's got to be guardrails in place to prevent that. Any other public comment?
Well, I want to say thanks for allowing the attorney. Oh, sorry, Joshua Ludley, 302 Harlan Street, Olin, Iowa. I just want to say first, thanks for allowing the attorney to get those concrete details. I did send you an email after the last meeting asking for those concrete details. I didn't get a response.
Not yet.
But here we are at this meeting now, and you just said about it needs to be concrete, and I did everything I could to reach out and get those concrete details. From what I understand, a lot of that stuff you're saying needs to be concrete is mapped out in there. On the community thing that you were mentioning, Mr. Mayor, I've been a large part of the social media page for the bridge, and I have been a huge advocate for the city, county, and the community coming together on this. I have stood up for the city council on this. Unfortunately, I can't control what people say. I do keep mentioning how this needs to be something that we all come together on. I went to the county board meeting last week, and because you guys had mentioned, why is nobody going to the county board meetings about this stuff? Well, I went, and I was able to sit down with the county attorney about it. And, you know, a lot of those people in that county meeting, county board meeting, are people, citizens of Anamosa. You know, people I grew up with around here. And so to me, it's like, I don't see any reason why. I get maybe the litigation maybe caused some tension there or something like that, but I don't see any reason why the county wouldn't be on board with city on this and coming together. Swisher said something to me in that Tyler and Downing meeting that we had, or not, he said it to the group. He's like, city and county operates as one thinking head. Well, maybe that's wishful thinking on some things, you know, but I believe that's the way it probably should be, and I hope it would be. And I think this is something we can all come together on, and I will do my due diligence with the community and on my page to put out that word of, because I know there are several people on this council that want to save that bridge. And I also believe that there are several people on the county board that want to save this bridge. I just don't see why it can happen. I believe if the attorney and Julie can get together and we can really have that concrete, because I believe that is more than just a proposal for the purchase, that there are different phases like Brian had mentioned, because I read it. So I don't know. I believe it's there. I mean, and I'll do everything I can to bring everybody together on this if I can, you know, and happy to be part of this foundation with people I look up to in this community. And so here we are, move forward.
Tom Durgan, downtown property owner. With all due respect, Rod, I don't think we're rushing anything. October 11th, 2026 is 5 years since I brought that video in here. 5 years. We've talked about this, talked about this, talked about this. 3 months ago, roughly, give or take, I tried to get on the council to bring some information in, was told I couldn't because of litigation. I completely understand that. But then I find out there was a meeting about the bridge at the council meeting. Then I find out about this one. And then I find out there's supervisors at T&D at a meeting. I'm getting a little mixed reviews here, just exactly what's going on with this. That being said, obviously Julius looked at this video and time is of the essence. 5 years we waited. I was out there last week, I actually measured the abutments. I don't know how, I've sent them. I don't know if they're at the engineer's hands. I have no idea where they went. I measured best I could because of the high water. But I also took my typical measurements. The only thing on that bridge that has moved is the obvious failure point on the upstream side that takes the beating. Does the bridge have a year left in it? Don't know. Does it have a winter left in it? You know, I think, Brian, somebody said something about a September meeting. We're getting into winter. I'm always looking forward, looking ahead. We're getting into winter. This is critical. We need to move this ahead as fast as we can. You know, I can't even get an answer on the Hale Bridge of who owns that. I think you said something about you're worried 10, 15 years down the line. I can't even get it. County says the state says the county. Who owns it? Who knows? You know, you got somebody that wants to take ownership of this and take care of this bridge. I'm telling you, I've been on this a lot. I've been all over and under and in that, everything on the bridge. That bridge is solid. Our grandkids are going to be on that. We're all going to be gone. And that bridge, it's a 139-year-old bridge. It's a military bridge. This guy that was here earlier about the comprehensive plan, I thought it was kind of interesting. He mentions all the historical stuff here. We have a military bridge of significant history that a supervisor that was on the trail committee sold as a loop. We don't have a loop anymore. We have a dangerous bridge. Countless times I see people out on this bridge walking against traffic, little kids on their bicycles. They have the St. Patrick's, whatever that run is, coming across there. People come down that hill flying. I asked one time, is it worth one kid's life to get killed before we do something about this bridge? We have a trail goes into the park. Hey, you come back out, or you take a dangerous bridge. Makes no sense. You know, we got a bridge out here on 151 that is, I don't know, 30 years old, plus they're repairing all the decks. You got a 139-year-old bridge going to outlast that bridge 10 times. Gotten bids on the, somewhere along the line, one of the engineers threw out $100,000 order for a deck. We got bids on that deck and it is way cheaper and way better. Something's got to be done. Something's got to be done soon, you know, and I think Rich and Brian both have said something about engineers. How much more money does the city want to keep putting into this? When you have somebody that wants to take it over, take responsibility, relieve you guys. I understand the money part. I understand where you're coming from on that. But we got to do something with this. We can't wait. By the time meeting goes by, well, then we got another meeting. It's going to be fall. That bridge is going to set. That's going to get more expensive and in worse shape. Something has got to be done with this. It's, you know, I don't know. Somebody asked me, and I have no idea, but I remember hearing from a pretty reliable source at one time there was $65,000 raised for the statue. I don't know if the city has that, and if the city does, can that go toward the bridge? I don't know who has that money. Is that something you know the city has?
Never heard anything about it.
Yeah, there was a pretty good chunk of money raised for that, and I don't know where it's at, but anyway. Okay. But anyway, we need to speed this up. We really do. It's Todd, I think you said one time when you were early on, it's like, I don't remember the exact words, but you've heard about this. Wait a minute, I have. I've been here many times talking about this. So it's a lot of other people. It's critical. It's important. Time is of the essence. It's a piece of history. You know, I was thinking earlier today, this might sound stupid or silly, so what? But the county and the city are going to give that sign over by Martell, Keeping Up with the Joneses, a whole new name, because it's going to be what can be torn down first. We just lost the past year, we lost another building downtown. My feeling is there's one or two others that aren't long for the city. We're gonna lose a bridge. And I thought I'd given Jeremiah the bid a long time ago. I did not on a replacement bridge for that, which you still have to fix the abutments. Gotta be done. And if I remember correctly, the new Bow Bridge, as I refer to it, today's cost is probably about 450 to 500,000. And what they told me is a 30-year life expectancy on that bridge. Now we're back to square one in 30 years. But we have a bridge that's going to last another 150 years. I'm going to guarantee it. I ain't going to be here. But I'm going to guarantee it's going to be there. Something's going to get done. We got to move fast. We got to get this taken care of. Get it off the city and the county's hands. Let's take care of it.
Tom, I don't think you heard anybody say that we don't want to move on this.
Well, I'm not.
Let me finish.
Yep.
I mean, but you know, as somebody that buys properties, there's a process that you have to take.
You betcha.
And that's what we're looking at
Yep.
now. We want to do this process. That's why we're going to have our attorney do this.
Yep.
We feel exactly the same way, I think.
But can we, I guess what I'm asking is, can we expedite this and move on so we're not into September, October, November, into winter? That's where I'm coming from, is it's just the critical time frame of it. I understand. What's that?
It's just how fast our attorney can negotiate with.
Yeah.
Well,
the working bridges.
And the other part of that is the fact of we're a government entity selling something that we have procedures we have to follow in that process.
I know that very well.
So you know that.
I know that.
Those steps have to be completed also.
Yep.
So I think everybody here is in agreement. The faster we can get this done, the better off it is for everybody. And believe me, we want it to be done, but we've got to follow those steps.
It's a huge safety concern. That's probably the biggest thing for me is it's a safety concern. And, and it's a piece of history. We need to preserve it. And, 5 years, like I said, October 11th is 5 years. We've been discussing the same thing over and over. And I mean, if the county was here, I'd tell them, they want out of it. They find out this from day one. When I asked them about, why do you want to change it to 2 years? You know what the answer was? I won't mention the name, but it was so we can take a better look, keep a better eye. I said, it don't matter if the 28 is a day, a year, 20 years. You drive by it every day, you can keep an eye on it. They wanted out of this from day one. They want out of it. And it's going to get tore down. It's probably going to be a mess like the bridge out here. I've lived here my entire life. There was never rapids under that bridge that they tore down out by the hill climb. You drive by it over the water, it's normal, it's rapids. Because of all the debris left in there, in my opinion, but it's debris that was left in there from tearing the bridge down. And
to wrap it up, I'll extend your 5 minutes significantly, so
no,
let's move on.
Okay, I'll do that. Thank you.
John Dirks, 105 East Fifth Street, Anamosa, Iowa. The contractor that's going to repair the abutments and the guy that is going to be the engineer, we went down with my boat, I don't know, 3 months ago, maybe even longer than that, I don't know. And he looked at the abutments and he looked at both of them. And he gave me approximate 2 to 3 weeks to do that. Now, once you get down there, that does not mean that Mother Nature's not going to throw a curveball in there. So, if it rains and we get high water, what are you going to do? Sit back and watch it. And them rocks, there's more rocks gone out. And every time there's high water comes down there, there's more rocks go out. And every time there's more rock go out, that more money goes out. So all I know is we have approximately 2 months at the most to where we're going to be able to get down there and work on that abutment. And how you guys are going to do it, I don't know. And you want a time frame. Well, I can't ask the contractor to come down there and tell me, well, we're going to start on this August or October 5th. Well, we don't know when we're going to get the permission to start on this. As soon as we get the permission to start on it, then he can work his timeline in there and we can get a unit made to what time we're going to do this. that abutments have to be fixed. The deck can be done 2, 3, 4 years down the road, who knows? But the abutments have to be fixed, because that's the important part. Because that's the part that's going to tear the bridge down.
So it sounds to me like if we can get the information to this group of what's lacking in their proposal as soon as possible, then they can get moving on it and resubmit it. Is that-
That's the whole thing.
Can we have a special meeting on this or not
Yeah, we can
sooner?
have as many meetings as we need.
They can't make up another proposal until they get what information that the city feels is lacking.
We do have some
Question there,
information.
or are we done talking?
Well, I'm just, you know, the city attorney has pointed out some questions that he has. City engineer has pointed out some questions that they have. Well, I guess if we compile all that, send it off to Mr. Dirks and then his team, they can put something together and send it back to us. I get you want this to be expedited. But we're all gonna have to be patient because, you know, the city is just not going to turn over $100,000 without some restrictions. Yeah, it goes back to those, you gotta have the guardrails in place. I don't think there's anybody in here that would just throw that kind of money around without, what's the objective? What's, you know, timelines that can be identified. It's a vast project, it's not simple. Yes, sir.
Russ, that to Sycamore Street. Just can you just say, stick it or whatever the best way to say to I would say forget use without any nonsense. It sounds like they've been getting rid of the last 5 years or so.
Possibly at a sunset date.
Can't we do that and do it ASAP?
I won't speak for the city, but I don't think the city's in any place to take this whole thing.
Why is that? Because it don't seem like the county wants to take over anything or be responsible for anything. They're just dragging their feet with this been going on. I moved back here 5 years ago. I graduated here and walked on that bridge and everything else. I'm originally from here. I moved away for over 20 years, come back here, and one of the first things I see driving by down is that bridge closed, nobody can walk on it. And like I say, that is a very historic bridge. And it means a lot to me. And I know, like you said, it means everything to everybody else. So why can't we just say, screw the county, regardless how we got to do it? Because you know, if they keep doing it, like they say, 5 months, 6 months, we may not have a bridge because all that's going to be down into the river.
As it currently stands, it's a responsibility of the city and the county. That's the way where it is.
So you can't reword it or the attorney, anybody can go around and say, hey, we'll wash your hands from you, we'll take it over and forget you, because you ain't, because us, we keep waiting on them, it's never gonna happen.
I think they're just as eager to.
And that doesn't sound like it.
To be removed from it
Then if that's the case, why can't there be an agreement to say you're removed from it? And let's do it, because we have no time to keep wasting.
Well, if you want $100,000 from a county, I think you'd want to include them in that.
Yes, but doesn't, I agree, but it doesn't sound like they're willing to move or anything. So 5 years and still at this problem?
It isn't like nothing's been done in the 5 years. We've had 2 engineering companies look at it too.
Why couldn't the county or the state or whoever decide on one engineer instead of having 2 or 3 or whatever it takes, just settle on one and go with that one? And I know Todd, he grew up here too, or moved here and been around here forever. And he knows what I'm talking about.
At this time.
Not even with the city, even with attorneys or anything like that, just say, hey, this is it.
You're talking about starting a whole new process that'll take longer than this one.
Okay. Well, I think give it a shot.
Thanks, Ross. Anyone else? Council, Phil Bonifati, 706 South Garnaville, Anamosa here. It's really good to hear the council speak favorably about keeping this bridge up and alive and taking care of it. And a lot of good concerns and concerns I share. That ownership, giving up that bridge. I don't like that idea. You want to have continuity of the care of that bridge and the maintenance of that bridge. It's part of the community. It should be owned by the city of Anamosa. What happened to that shared ownership with the county? So I don't know if you can look at buyback when this is over. Would you consider that? Would the city of Anamosa consider buying this bridge back from this organization? Can you talk to the city attorney and see if that can be written into the agreement? Obviously the control of funds is a real concern for everybody. But honestly, we as a city, my generation, we failed. This council did, this city council and the ones before, on doing preventative maintenance to that, and the county failed on preventative maintenance. We failed on funding for maintenance for that. We just ignored the need for it. Just 5 years is inexcusable for that. I know tonight should have had a list of concerns from the city and the county. There's no reason why that stuff could be done behind. I mean, you kind of know what the concerns are. We all do, But it seems like, we can, in 5 years, if all we can do is throw some money at an engineering company and not even get out the scope of work or any type of plan for repair. I sat and talked to that Melissa Clough and the Howard R. Green engineering firm, and she acknowledged that, yeah, those pins at 25,000 a piece, they're probably not a problem on a bridge like that. They really don't see that. I know the cost in trying to establish all of that, but we have failures here, and it's a failure of leadership. I didn't want preventive maintenance on that. Why don't we set monies aside? In the future, monies are going to have to be set aside. And hopefully if we can get ownership back, it's a shame. Yeah, we considered that resolution last week and we gave up $200,000 that the county offered. And that could have gone a long way for repairs of that bridge.
And in considering that resolution, at minimum, if the county wanted it out and they were willing to do $200,000, we could have written that into that resolution to let the county out. Could have talked to them on the side. The city attorney could have talked to the county attorney, said, hey, you know, we want to fix that bridge. It's good for the county. The county's going to, honestly, it should still be part of the ownership of the county because the people of the county come into the state park and they walk out on that bridge and they're appreciating it. And unfortunately, we gave that ability to extract monies from the county for that maintenance of that bridge. And we put more burden on the city and you put more of the burden on the people. And that's not right because it's just city government. So why we don't have a list, why the city doesn't have a list here tonight of the concerns. I mean, we all say we kind of got them, but you know, they're not specified and this can's been kicked down the road and it seems like it's been punted, but let's figure out how we can keep ownership of this. Let's get a plan for funding it and doing preventive maintenance on it in the future. So, you know, we're protecting the assets of this community. But again, we're all speaking favorably. We all want it. We can say we want it, but some of us can't do anything. I can't ask the city attorney to do some things. Sure, would love to tell him to do some things, you know. We have failed, you know. I've failed in a lot of this. You know, it's just when it gets to that point, to have a member of the community have to go down there. I was pretty upset too when you got that bridge shut down. But it's just worse than ever. So let's get the list of concerns, get the city and the county attorney together, figure out how you can keep ownerships, see how you can get it funded, get it handed to somebody that has a proven record of doing it, you know. So thank you.
Anyone else? As I stated earlier, one time, tonight, we're not debating, this isn't a debate.
Sure. I'm gonna say one thing, you know, the blame's been put on the city and the county. There's one group, in my opinion, that isn't getting a lot of blame, and that's the state of Iowa. I think the state of Iowa should have been keeping it up. You know, finally they're working on the park down there, but you know, that's just my opinion.
The point of order of the city, the state can't fund it, they said, if it's private ownership, so there's a reason to try to get that back to city ownership.
Well, I believe the state owns that side myself.
Yeah.
That's just me.
But I'd love to see this city own that bridge so that in the future, the state can put state funds to it. Since it's part.
Is there anyone else from the public we've not heard that would like to speak? We have a motion on the floor by Todd, second by Rich, to have the city attorney put together some of the questions and concerns that are needed to be taken to their Steve.
Can I comment on that motion? Sure. I like to see, I think it's just dealing with the working bridges. I mean, I might be wrong in that, but I'd like to see this local group be included in that motion too. But if not, that's okay.
I think it's highly important. We are. Can you have the notes well enough to summarize that motion?
Yeah.
Could you restate it?
Compensating to engage in negotiations with the purchase.
with what party or parties?
With the purchase.
Which is at the time the motion was made, only party that was mentioned. Once the public got involved, and said that they had formed the Anamosa Man Foundation, that became known that.
Right. So I would amend my motion to include discussions with both the North Skunk River Group as well as the Anamosa Dam Bridge Foundation, so that all parties are covered.
And I would agree with that.
So there's the motion before council. Also, is there any other discussions that you would like to have before moving to a vote?
I would just make one comment, Dirk or Josh, either one of you, will that nonprofit group be formed, do you think, or finalized soon?
It's formed, it's waiting on the state of Secretary of State's.
Okay. Thank you. The only reason why I asked counsel is because that was one of the comments of the attorney, that if this group was going to be part of the negotiations, they do have to be a formed group. So that was just one of the preliminary notes that we didn't feel was important to relay tonight, but we knew you were forming it. It just, we can't do business with an entity that does not exist.
Haley, would you conduct a roll vote, please?
Dan Smith,
Yes.
Weimer,
Yes.
Shada,
Yes.
Kate Smith. Yes. Crump,
Yes.
Kurt,
Yes.
Motion proceeded with city attorney in discussions with both parties, carries. 7.4, review and approve purchase request in the amount of $13,980 to replace the faulty pit pump control panel at the wastewater treatment plant.
Second.
Motion by Kay, second by Todd. Council discussion. Public comment. Haley, please.
Weimer,
Yes.
Shada,
Yes.
Kate Smith. Yes. Crump,
Yes.
Kurt,
Yes.
Dan Smith.
Yes.
Motion to approve purchase request carries. 7.5, review and approve consent agenda pay request totaling $27,111.70. There are 6 items listed. I'll read all 6 off, which council can make a motion that includes consent that will bring all up for discussion in a single vote. Or council can make a motion on any of the items. Item A from ECOG in the amount of $450 for the downtown facade revitalization project. Item B from ECOG in the amount of $8,000 for comprehensive plan. Item C from HR Green in the amount of $3,200 for the water treatment plant aerator equipment replacement project. Item D from HR Green in the amount of $864 for the Element Hickory sanitary sewer project. Item E from HR Green in the amount of $9,765 for the wastewater treatment plant re-rate project. Item F from Martin Garner in the amount of $4,832.70 for the downtown facade revitalization project.
Move to approve. Second.
Motion by Brian, second by Dan. Council discussion.
Is that for the consent agenda?
Oh, my.
Yes.
Thanks, Rich.
Sorry. Yeah.
Okay.
Public comment?
Tom Durgan, downtown property owner. Jeremiah, this might be a question for you. Are the bids for all these projects specific to each building, each property? Are they broke down?
No.
So it's all one lump sum, so you don't know what money is being spent on what building?
Derek would probably have an itemized, but it is one lump sum for the downtown facade project. And it's ongoing as well. So, we're getting billed as we go.
But the last one is finished, everything's finalized on that one?
The last one is, yes.
The last,
Yeah,
okay,
You're talking phase 2.
yes,
Yeah, yes.
okay, I have questions on that, thank you.
Haley, would you please conduct a roll call?
Shada,
Yes.
Dave Smith. Yes. Crump,
Yes.
Bird,
Yes.
Dan Smith.
Yes.
Weimer,
Yes.
Motion or consent a motion to approve pay request carries. 8.0 City Administrators Report.
Just one item to note, before our next council meeting will be National Night Out over at the Wapsiana Park, August 4th, 5:30, 5 PM to 7:30. So look forward to seeing everybody there.
Council, you have anything for Jeremiah? 9.0 Mayor Council Report, 9.1 Mayor's Report. Nothing. 9.2 Council Reports. Ten point zero, public comment for items not on the agenda.
Ralph Conrad, 402 East Sycamore Street again. I'm just wondering who's, I know some of the places around here, I'm not sure who's supposed to be responsible, but some of these people's lawns look like jungles. So is that the city or the county or who's responsible for making sure some of these places get mowed? Cause some of them look like not just driving by and saying, well, it's just up front, but I've seen some that look so bad that the front, the back and the side, it's like they haven't mown in like a year. And I'm just wondering who's supposed to be responsible for that.
Give the Anamosa Police Department a call with the addresses. They can look into it.
Oh, okay. I didn't know if that was your guys's or whose responsibility it was, because it's just like, I don't understand how people can live like that, but it's like disgusting. Thanks.
Anyone else? 11.0 adjournment. See, meeting is adjourned. Thank you all.